I'm watching you.
Keep your pockets closed and your eyes open. Unless you want to end up shardless and dead at the hands of those damn outlaws.
Another time, yeah?
Now's not the time, all right? Maybe later.
Not now.
Huh. What do we have here? Fresh meat?
What did you call us?
Don't worry, I am not looking at you. How did you get the guard to let you into the dome? I'd watch out. They're probably trying to recruit you. You wouldn't be the first to come here looking for shelter only to end up bowing down to Kalan. However you got in, you're going to find it even harder to get out. The clerics are a little jumpy at the moment. You might say paranoid. So, when they do let someone in, it does make me wonder who they are and why the clerics thought letting them in was a good idea.
If it's so hard to get in, what are you doing here?
I got in before things got so paranoid. And I came here for profit, of course. Lots of nervous people close to the Alps tend to be willing to invest shards in their safety, you see. And getting hold of supplies is hard out here. So, if you can get them, you can sell them for a high price. Well, that was the plan. Now, the clerics have stopped me trading and cut off all the supplies.
Where do you get your goods from?
Mostly directly from Tavar. And that's the main problem. Seeing as the clerics have got picky about who comes in and goes out of here. It's impossible to get by the guards without an ID card. And they took mine from me as part of their crackdown. Now they say I'm causing trouble. But what else is a businesswoman supposed to do when she has her business taken from her?
About your trade ban.
Yeah, don't tell me. Trading weapons can pose a danger to the community. But this is about self-defense. The only person who can stop a person with a gun is a person with an even bigger gun. Am I right? I mean, what? Are we supposed to throw rocks at the Albs when they attack? But the clerics want to keep all the guns for themselves and screw the rest of us. They call it neutrality, but I say it's oppression.
Sounds like you could use some help.
Yes. Yes, I could. Still, let's say he's right. And that I could get a hold of supplies. Not from Tavar, obviously. They've blocked that route. Let's say I could get some weapons from the Separatists, for example. Let's say they have weapons and need shards. And that they also have the business acumen of a stunned troll, so they need a salesperson. Me, for example. What if I was to say that? And what if I was to say that I have to find someone who could enter and leave this city freely? If I was to say that, then what would you say?
Do you really think you can trust the Separatists?
I can't leave without profit. Hell, right now I can't eat without profit. So I need this deal. So if you blab, what have I lost? Nothing. And without any guns to show, it's just your word against mine. And even Alois isn't going to see that as justice.
I could help you get your weapons.
Good. Right. So, this is what you need to do. Leave the city and find a separatist called Radok. I think he's a separatist. But whatever he is, he's a mad fucker. I can't make sense of most of what he says. But he has the weapons, and he likes trade. I think he likes trade. It's hard to tell. He wants to sell the weapons, but you'll have to work on him, okay? He won't just hand them over.
Where can I find Radok?
Up in the Highlands. When we last spoke, he told me he was going to head over to the northeast. He mentioned an abandoned wind turbine. With luck, he'll still be out there.
Some guys just open their mouths too much.
That is pretty suspicious.
Do you ever think about how things might have been before the comet?
There have been so many patrols that got themselves in trouble recently. It's a wonder.
You should think about leaving. I don't have any time right now.
Go and bother someone else.
What is it you want?
Who are you?
You first. Come on. Who are you? There is something that is familiar about you, but I can't quite place it. No matter, I suppose. All people are welcome in Abessa, as long as they are prepared to forget their past. Even Albs are allowed in here. I think Albs would be perfect people if they weren't so emotionless. But then, that is why they are the only faction I have never belonged to.
What do you mean? You mean you want to become an owl?
That's a long story. If you're really interested in my tale, then I will tell you, of course.
I'd be happy to hear her story. Maybe there are lessons in it for us.
What are you doing here in Abessa?
I take care of the mechs and drones here in the city, which means I coordinate and plan their maintenance and upgrades. When I'm lucky, I get to roll up my sleeves and do some of the actual maintenance, which I'm having to do quite a lot with all the technicians we're missing. Say, are you good with technology?
No.
Oh, well, that's a shame. I guess I'll have to keep asking round. On the other hand, if you're looking for some part-time work, I could still use your help. I have 4 people I've been told I should look at for taking the technician's job, but I don't have time to gauge their abilities. Would that be something you could do for me? I'd pay you.
Yeah, I'll talk to your candidates.
Great. The 4 names I have are Daryl, Naira, Rorik, and Riley. Though I'm really not sure about Riley. There's something about him I don't trust. But speak to each of them and let me know whether you think they might have the right skills and abilities for the job. Oh, and I'll need you to let me know about their loyalties. You know, can they work with clerics? Do they hate us? We'd be trusting them with the mechs and AI that defend the Dome City. So I don't want to employ anyone who might still be thinking about their faction, not our security.
About the candidates for technician,
Yes?
tell me about Naira.
Naira is an Alb separatist, so a bit of a long shot for loyalty. But she should have the technical ability we need. She's somewhere in the west of the city with the other separatists, in the slums.
You want to employ a separatist as a technician?
We need someone, and I don't think your faction always says who you are. Albs are usually very good with technology, but you're right. I don't know if we can trust her.
Tell me about Daryl.
Daryl is an outlaw. He's applied to be a technician, but I don't know why. So I want to know his motives and what his technical experience is. I'm hoping you can get that information. If he's skilled and trustworthy, then employing him might show that we do trust outlaws here. But I don't know that much about him. I don't even know where to find him.
What do you know about Rorik?
Rorik is a berserker. I think I last saw him somewhere around Vito's pub. It might seem weird to consider a berserker, but I was one once. And I know Rorik used to work extracting Elex from machines in Goliad, so he knows about technology. And I think I could teach him everything else that he needs to know. And it would show that we were reaching out to the berserkers who have come to the Dome City. Their magic is very powerful, and they're strong warriors. We will need their help if the Albs attack us from Zakor. But it'll be important to find out if he's prepared to have anything to do with technology before we think of offering him the job.
Tell me your story. How did you end up joining the clerics?
Right, I'll give you the full version. Well, the short version of the full version.
Just get on with it.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short. So, I grew up in Goliad in Adan. My father and mother were both born berserkers, and so that meant I was too. Back then, Bajar ruled over Goliad. As a child, I had no interest in the laws, of course. But when I was about 12 years old, one of the warlords came to our home. He took my parents, and I was left on my own to survive in the city. I remember him. I remember my parents leaving. And I remember me screaming. But everything else is gone. It's just a blur.
What happened to your parents?
Well, what else? They were exiled. Nobody ever told me why they were exiled. I still don't know what they did, even today. I hate the Berserker laws. Nothing against the Berserkers. They're just people. It's the laws I hate. I think what the Berserkers want to do with Magalan is right. But I can never forgive them for what they did to my parents. Why was I punished for whatever my parents did? Why wasn't I told what had happened? I swore never to return, and I haven't set foot in Idan again.
Where did you go?
Wherever I needed to survive. That meant running from reavers and wild animals. It didn't take long for some reavers to take me captive. And then, I don't want to talk about that. I was lucky, though. After several years, the reavers were attacked by some of the Duke's outlaws, and they took me back to Tavar. I learned how to fight, how to live off scrap. Life wasn't much different from Idan, but there wasn't the same raptor shit. The laws. You could be who you were, and no one judged you.
Then why didn't you remain with the outlaws?
Because the reavers who'd taken me captive came to the fort and wanted to speak to the Duke. I think they wanted to take me back. I fled when they saw me. I didn't want to be taken back, or for them to kill me to hide their crime. When I left the fort, I ran into a cleric patrol. They convinced me to go to the Hort with them. Not that I really needed that much convincing. All those hours taking scrap apart and putting it back together in Tavar really paid off there. The clerics recognized that I was good with technology. So, I've been working on mechs and AI systems since then. Building things. Trusted. Part of a team. And it's easier being with mechs. They don't judge anyone. They treat everyone the same. Like this place. I know it's not perfect. But outlaws, berserkers, clerics, even albs are seen as people. At least that's the vision. Not always the way it happens. That's another reason to maintain these mechs. To protect what we have here. Well, I hope you find your place in the world. It's good when you do. May Kalan guide your way.
crazy? Or is that generator power fluctuating?
The B-series was never very reliable, you know that.
Then why are we still...
Hey, you!
Let me guess. I'm not allowed into the upper quarter?
What? No, everyone's allowed to move about freely here. I just have a question for you. You got here recently, right? I just want to know what things are like outside the dome. What's going on out there? Are the Albs attacking?
Why do you ask?
I'm interested. We're cut off here under the dome, safe from the world outside. So they pass us by like a river around a rock. Kalan gave us the knowledge, and now look what we've achieved. A safe harbor for all people. The clerics and Ignodons say we've strayed. I say we've found the true path.
You built the dome?
I designed the plans for it. Then we built it together. My name is Eric, by the way. Chief engineer here in the dome. I'm in charge of all the generators and technicians who oversee them.
Why don't the clerics have a dome like this in Ignodon?
The dome requires immense amounts of energy, and the fluctuations in it have to be constantly balanced. The technology is complex. That means there's no way to cover the Hort with a shield like this. Besides, the cliffs around Hort give it a natural protection.
Can this dome survive an Alb attack?
Of course. Why do you think we built it? As long as we can maintain a constant energy flow, then they can't get in. Unfortunately, achieving that isn't so easy. Some of the energy regulators are starting to malfunction again.
Malfunctioning energy regulators sound dangerous.
Of course they are. Outside of frying yourself if you try to adjust them. If we were attacked right now, the whole dome would go critical.
About the broken energy regulators. How many energy regulators are broken?
Well, all of them. I've sorted replacements where I can. But Lutz hasn't received his yet.
What will happen if they aren't repaired?
If just one regulator fails, it could mean an emergency shutdown for the dome. Otherwise, the discharge it would create could kill a whole lot of the people the shield is supposed to be protecting. But whether it's a discharge or an emergency shutdown, both scenarios would see us defenseless.
saw you.
You saw me what?
I saw how you came through into the dome. Who are you? Why were you allowed in?
That's none of your business.
Then it sounds like you got in here illegally. As much as the clerics claim to control the gates, they really don't seem to be able to stop people getting in. And by that, I don't just mean you. Can you believe it? There are fucking Albs in the city.
What do you have against the Separatists?
They are coming here, to our city. The only city with a real chance of peace among the factions. If it was up to me, then we would make sure these Albs went somewhere else. They might say we have the same goal, the same enemy, but I don't believe a word of what they say. Who says they aren't spies sent here to deactivate the dome? They can't be trusted.
You want to have all the Separatists thrown out of the city?
Yeah. And you know what? I have already started to make it happen. I'll recruit anyone who'll help get this done. We have an eyewitness who claims to have seen the Separatists exchanging information with the Albs. Traitorous bastards.
Who is this eyewitness?
The Berserker Jorg saw Fenk meet with an Alb in front of the city. Why would they meet if it wasn't to exchange information about the dome? Sadly, Jorg is the only one who's seen Fenk. And now he started saying he isn't sure he really saw Fenk meet an Alb from Zakor. So I have to jog Jorg's memory. Or make sure he stops denying what he said. There has to be a way to do that.
Who are you?
Caleb. I lead the Berserkers who've chosen to settle here in Abessa.
You are separate from the Berserkers in Udan?
We have kept our beliefs, but left behind the laws. We have set our own rules here. Well, none of us are allowed to return to Edan now. Or we just end up being sent to the valley. As to why they came here, well, the first settlers were sent to Abessa to plant a world heart to expand the forest of Edan out here. But they were cut off from Edan by the Albs, left on their own to survive. And after a while, they decided to keep it that way. The warlords in Goliath weren't happy. But they're stretched too thin for another conflict, so here we are. And since they settled here, others have joined us. Some are escaped exiles, others just chose to leave Edan.
You don't think that Jorg could have been wrong in the first place?
No, never. You can't trust these separatists. They'll betray us sooner or later for sure. I'm telling you, this is just the beginning.